Three, two, one. What's up? This is DJ Truth, and guess what? This is the More Life Podcast, episode number 2. Now, before I even get into this episode, I'm having the pleasure to interview literally one of the first few people I met at Orangetheory. Actually, this girl is actually the very first person who embraced me, and she doesn't know that. She has absolutely no clue. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite people, the amazing Miss Brittany Cooper.
Well, thank you for that introduction.
There's like, in the background, you don't hear it now, but there's like a crowd cheering for you right now.
Awesome.
What's up, Coop?
What's going on?
I don't know. We're here. How did we get here? How did we get here? I know.
Well, I'm kind of curious as to what it was that I embraced you with.
Okay, so when I first started, my very first day at Orangetheory, I met a coach named Danny. Then I met a guy named Chris Dalton. And then my first day at Northville, I met you.
Yeah.
There are a few essays, I don't quite remember them, but I met you, and I remember when you walked in, you just had this huge smile. You told me, I don't even know your position, you told me you did like, I don't know, it was like something with like the marketing or something.
Yeah.
You're like, yo, I do marketing with OTF. Take my email, I need you to send me pictures of you
Yep, that's
and
right.
stuff to promo. But you were just like so embracing. And I literally went home that day and did a photo shoot in like my bedroom. And like, matter of
remember
fact, that
those
picture with
pictures.
me with my arms up,
Yep.
I did that in my bedroom
I
and
love
like
that.
edited it and sent it to you. And I don't know, it's just you. Ever since then, that same energy you gave me then, it's been the same energy you've given me 100% of the time of meeting you. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. That's
Right?
a nice compliment.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. So, you're my second guest. My first guest was Ashley, who you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you are now my second guest. So Ashley did such a good job. You got big shoes to fill.
I do. And Ashley's someone who's totally a mentor to me. So it's kind of cool to follow her up.
Do you guys work together often, or is that?
We're working a lot together, actually opening the Detroit studio. So that's kind of my current role in Orangetheory. I've had a long history of different positions. So
Can we go through some of those positions real
We
quick?
can.
Start from the bottom. I want to hear
We
from the
can.
bottom.
So Northville, obviously, is where it all started.
Okay.
I was actually working full-time at the time in a corporate digital marketing job.
Oh, wow.
And I saw a post on Indeed, for Orangetheory Fitness.
Uh-huh.
And I had taken a class before at Canton, and I really liked it.
Okay.
So I was kind of looking to get into something a little bit different
Right.
and just kind of pick up some extra side money. So I met... Side money.
Okay.
So I met with Jamie at Starbucks.
Jamie
This is
G.
Yep, Jamie G.
Okay.
This is pre-SD days, pre-formality. We had a coffee, and she offered me a job. So I was working Saturdays and Sundays at Northville
Right.
as a sales associate. And then
Yo, I'm sorry to cut you off. Shout out to Jamie. You're finding people. Yo,
Shout out to Jamie G.
Okay. So you were working Saturdays and Sundays at
Yeah.
the Northville. That's Northville, Michigan, for anyone who doesn't live in Michigan. It's a city here in
Yeah.
Michigan.
So Northville's kind of always been my home.
Right.
And then they kind of kept asking me to come on full time, but I had been 8 years into digital marketing at this time.
Okay.
So
Wow. 8 years into digital marketing.
Yeah. I did a great job, but I didn't love it. It wasn't my passion. And it was kind of time for me to realize that I loved my part-time job
Mhm.
and tolerated my full-time job.
Wow.
So I eventually made the switch. Everyone thought I was absolutely out of my mind,
Okay.
and I had almost no support, ironically enough.
Wow. No,
Yeah,
like,
it was the most scary decision I've made in my life.
that literally was because of 8 years. And
Yeah,
okay.
and
So
just,
get
I mean,
that.
coming out of a job that I could have stayed my entire life
Right.
and, retired there, done that whole thing. And yeah, so I switched over to full time and worked at Farmington Hills and Northville.
Okay, see, I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
Okay.
I worked there. Me and my girl Heath. Shout out to
Heath
Heath.
G, another G. Jamie G, Heath G.
We've
What's
kind
up,
of
Heath G
followed
Fit?
each other around.
Okay.
And then I was doing marketing, essaying in Northville and Farmington.
Mm-hmm.
Then transitioned to Birmingham when I was promoted to assistant manager.
Okay.
Then went back to Northville as assistant manager.
So you're so as of now. Oh well, not now, but that moment, it was Farmington, Northville, and Birmingham.
Yep.
So you've been three studios, three different cultures.
Yeah,
How is
absolutely.
that? How was that for you, just transitioning? Because when you go, each studio has its own culture, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
And how was that, just taking what you were doing in Farmington over to Northville, then from Northville to Birmingham? Was that like a challenge, or was that just like easy
It was
peasy?
a lot of growth.
Okay.
It definitely, I think the movement was something really positive for me
Mm-hmm.
because it allowed me to kind of learn in different atmospheres, work with different people.
Right.
And it was honestly a really good experience because I got to know a lot of our staff at the time.
Of course.
When I started at Northville, there was Northville and Birmingham, and Troy was just opening.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of knew, I used to walk into a meeting, all staff, and know every person in the room. And now there's constantly
you
new
walk
faces.
into a meeting now, you're like, yo, who
Yeah.
are you? What's your name again? Nice to meet you.
No, exactly. And that's fun. I mean,
Right.
I like the fact that I can, take a class and get to know someone and kind of learn their story and their Orangetheory history. So,
Okay, so fast forward. So fast forward to now.
Yep.
Right now. And what are you doing right now with Orangetheory Fitness here in
so
Michigan?
as of October 1st, I transitioned from manager at Northville to manager of our upcoming Detroit location, which I'm super, super excited about. This is honestly my favorite step in the journey so far.
Right now. Okay, so we have a Detroit location opening up.
We do.
I know we're in Michigan, so this would be the first Detroit location.
Yep.
Okay, so
It's awesome.
that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
That's like big shoes to fill. So,
It's exciting.
where is this location in
So
Detroit?
we are in New Center. We're located at West Grand and 3rd, just 3 blocks west from the Fisher Building.
Okay.
So it's super exciting. It's a little bit bigger space than normal. We have, 4 showers. So we're gonna have a lot of commuters. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
So for people who aren't from Michigan, or even people in Michigan, New Center area is basically like right downtown Detroit. It's like almost like the heart of the city. It's like right near downtown Detroit. So if you're familiar with Michigan and you're familiar with downtown Detroit, there will be a Orangetheory Fitness down there managed by Brittany Cooper, who's been around the block with Orangetheory. So she knows her stuff.
Yep. And the best part about that, and I totally have to plug this, is we have free attached parking for Detroit.
So
that's
nice.
that's like unheard of. So that's
Wow.
kind of what helps select the space too.
Wow. So again, you know about parking downtown. If you're from Michigan, you know how it is in there. And she has free attached parking.
We do.
Like, I'm super excited about this opening, and then it being you, like, heading
Thank
this,
you.
because I see how hard you go in. Like, I literally see how hard you go in. We've had talks, where you like, yo, I need to take a day off, but I can't take a day off yet. That's real life. You know what I'm saying? That's real life.
Until Jamie makes me take a day off.
Right. Literally, someone has to make her take a day off, which is, it just shows something about your character and your passion, especially with a new place opening that really needs that. You know what I'm saying? So salute to you.
Thank you.
Salute to you. Real quick, I know. Now, I don't remember, but I know convention happened this year. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Was this your first convention?
It was.
Okay, this was your.
This
I
was
didn't know
number
if it was
one.
your. I kind of remember having a conversation, but I was like, did she tell me it was her second or her first?
Yeah,
So,
this was my first. It was a lot of fun.
So it was a lot. Did you enjoy it?
I did. I
What-
came back kind of exhausted.
Okay. What did you, if anything, what did you pick up from it, if anything?
Actually, that's kind of an interesting question. We had talked a lot coming back from convention
Okay.
about like what were the takeaways.
Exactly.
And ironically enough, with this situation, I think the best one I learned was changing the language that you use.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
think that in
Speak on
that,
if you don't mind, speak on that. What do you mean?
so basically we talked about just words that you can adjust when you're talking to members,
Okay.
to people coming in for their first class,
Right.
when you're communicating with your staff, and just things to avoid if you want to have a positive environment.
Okay.
And I really think with talking about changing the language,
Mhm.
I think that's a huge element just in life and all atmospheres
Absolutely.
that we want to change the narrative. So
Absolutely.
that's something that I think I took a lot away from, and it kind of just touched home to me. I'm human. I have definitely had my share of growth throughout my experience at Orangetheory.
Okay.
And I think that's always something just basics to remember
Okay.
is positivity.
So, going off of what you just said, you said you're human. You're having your you've had your share of growth,
Yeah.
just like all of us. Now, I was in class with Brittany the other day during Hell Week, and she mentioned to me that she wanted to come on a podcast, which I think I get the people that end up on a podcast. I think it happens organically because I try to mentally pick who I want. Because my second guess wasn't going to be you. My first guess wasn't going to be Ashley.
Right.
I think it just happens organically. But she mentioned to me, she said, hey, I want to come on your podcast. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, all right, this is my friend. Of course I'll let her come. Then she said, but I want to speak about mental health. And it kind of floored me because I was like, hell yes, let's talk about it because number one, it's a touchy subject.
Absolutely.
Number two, it needs to be talked about. It just has to be talked about
does.
because you never know who's listening. You never know whose life you can save from a word, from a conversation, from a thank you, from anything. Just from someone can see me and be like, yo, if he can do it, I can do it. Or same thing. So I do want to dive into that.
Yeah,
I do want to dive into the mental health aspect because I've seen it from different angles. I've seen it from family members. I've seen it from friends. I've seen it to a degree from myself, just things I've done.
Right.
And I feel like it needs to be talked about. So my first question for you might be a tough question, but do you feel like you have a mental health issue?
Absolutely.
Okay. Can you?
I'll kind of give you some background on that. And that actually is a great transition of what I was talking about, changing the narrative.
Absolutely. Okay.
So I was diagnosed in January after a really tough end of last year, tough beginning of the year with major depressive disorder, major anxiety disorder, and a personality disorder.
Okay.
And I went through a really hard time. And actually, Orangetheory Fitness was so supportive of me that they allowed me to take some time off and kind of get what I needed to do to get back on track.
Right.
But it taught me a lot about recognizing that not everybody has this perfect life.
Of course.
I'm a bubbly person. I'm always happy, smiling. I shoot out positivity, but I was having a really tough time.
Of course.
And with me, it came down to the fact that I was no longer able to manage it by myself. You know, we're all super strong, but it was something that I needed other people's help for. And I was really, really lucky because I have an amazing support system between, you know, my Orangetheory family, my personal family, my friends. I know I remember kind of running into you and you checking up on me, which I appreciate very much. And I think the thing is that I want to, at some point in my life, be able to hopefully see where we're going to change the stigma.
Okay.
Mental health awareness is such an important thing, and it's just as important as your physical health.
Absolutely. I agree.
And the two honestly go hand in hand. They go both ways. If you can't take care of your physical health, then your mental health is going to suffer. And if you can't take care of your mental health, your physical health is going to suffer. They're completely related.
For the people that are listening, I have a question for you. So for you, what is a trigger for you? What do you think is a trigger to really get you to the point where you feel like, yo, I'm not good in this moment?
So I think that I think I've dealt with this my entire life, on and off. The initial, I think, event that really caused the problem was I lost my grandmother last November. That was really tough on me.
Right.
We were super, super close, and it was a very quick turnaround from her diagnosis to her passing.
Okay.
And I went through, during this time, I was also in a relationship, too, that was someone who just honestly didn't understand it. Okay. And it took me a lot of time to stop being angry about that, but not everybody
That's huge.
can manage everything.
Mm-hmm. True. I completely agree. I know when speaking with you before, I told you that one of my close friends, probably the closest friend I have, deals with it.
Yeah.
And she's been my friend since elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched other friends come and go in her life. And it's tough because I had a conversation with her a long time ago. And I told her, yo, I'm going to be honest, it's tough to be your friend. And It's not because you don't love this person and you don't care about this person.
Hmm.
It's just draining at times.
It is.
And um to be built for that takes you to get to another space mentally for you to understand. It took for me to understand, yo, truth, it's bigger than you. Like like things that happen, she may not be able to control,
Yeah,
and you have to understand that, because if the
absolutely.
shoe was on the other foot, would you want someone to be like, yo, I'm good on you? And I had to realize that. I just had to play a role reversal. Like, if this was me, um, and she was basically, would I want her to be like, yo, I'm good on you? No matter what. I would want her to figure out a way to understand. And what I did is I swallowed my pride and I figured out a way to understand. It was hard. It was super hard. It's still hard at times,
Oh yeah.
you know?
And that's exactly it, is when you're dealing with someone that struggles from a place of mental illness, you can never fully understand what they're going through,
Right.
because your brain's not wired that way.
Right.
But you can absolutely come from a place of understanding.
Absolutely.
So, and I think that's the biggest difference. And, I still have bad days.
Of course.
People may not, recognize it, but what's ironic enough is those who know me well enough can see it in my eyes
Oh,
when
I
I'm
can.
having a down day.
Yeah, I know.
And I mean, I fake it till I make it,
Mhm.
but
That's fine.
I know now that those days, they're just days, and they're less of those bad days than there are good days. I mean, and that took a lot of time, and, medications and therapy and physical fitness is
Mhm.
huge for me.
Huge.
Orange
Huge.
Theory Fitness, honestly, the workout alone is what keeps me balanced.
Right. Wow.
It gives me that 1 hour, no matter if I'm
Yo, say
power
that one more.
walking.
Say that one more time. That literally gave me chills for you to say that 1 hour workout keeps you balanced.
It does.
Yo,
That 1 hour
that's-
workout, that Orange Theory workout keeps me balanced.
And not to speak for you, but I would think it's the workout in itself, but the energy, the aura that's around it
Exactly.
is part of it too.
It
It's
is.
part of it too. So
I always say that our workout is a production. It has
Okay.
a start, it has a finish, it has its middle pieces.
Mhm.
It's 60 minutes that begins, and when you walk in that room,
mhm.
you're on stage with yourself. So you have
Absolutely.
60 minutes to figure out what you're going to do in that 60 minutes. And that, for me, it's time to clear my mind.
Okay.
It's time to get those endorphins, and it's time to make stuff happen.
I have another question. And
Yeah.
I took offense to this, and I don't know if you would, but I want you to speak on this real fast.
Sure.
What do you think about when people say mental health or mental illness is a choice? What do you actually think about that? Because I don't feel like I completely suffer from it at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
But my opinion, it's not a choice, because
not.
I don't think anyone would choose to.
No,
So,
exactly. And people, I think, just really, and that's kind of why I try to be such an advocate, is because people just need to be educated on it.
Okay.
There's such a thing as situational depression.
Mhm.
Again, people don't choose to be situationally depressed either.
Right.
It's the way that the chemicals work in your brain. And sometimes, it's genetic related, sometimes it's situational, sometimes, especially with personality disorders, it has to deal with previous traumas.
Okay.
And that's something that, for anyone who would think that it's a choice, I mean, that's just showing ignorance right there.
Right.
And I think that that's kind of the problem in society with mental health, is just because you can't see it
Right.
doesn't mean it's not there.
Doesn't mean it's not there. It's as real as, to me, as energy. Like,
Yeah.
we can't see energy, but it's there.
Exactly.
You can feel a vibe completely. And I know people say, yo, we everyone can feel some kind of vibe. You can walk in your house. If you're married, you can walk in the house and tell if your wife has a different vibe about her, whether she's in a bad mood. You don't have
Yeah.
to see it, but you can feel it.
Oh,
And
100%.
and I believe exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and I believe in energy. Everyone laughs at me. I believe in the universe and putting things out into the universe and
Mhm.
karma. And I really think that, I mean, even with me, I need to be around positive people, because I'm already
course.
predispositioned
Right.
to
Right.
pull south. So I need those people around me. And that's, again, why, the friends that I've met at Orangetheory have really, we all have the same type of, we like to have fun. We like to work hard, and we like to, I always joke, but we really are in the career field of changing lives.
Absolutely.
So
Now, do you feel like mental health has ever affected your performance at work?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Kind of going back to when everything really what happened and I had kind of a full breakdown.
Okay.
I had to take some time away because I wasn't able at that point to deliver the results that I needed to do my job to the best of my ability. And I was lucky enough that we have a great team, and the managers stepped in and covered me. And, I didn't have to worry about losing my job, or,
Right.
Jamie and Scott and everyone and Ashley all checked up on me. And, I remember my first day when I walked back into the studio, you were there. And
yeah.
I kind of like crept in. I had been gone for about 3 weeks, and, just to see how I would feel coming back. And it felt great.
Right.
I was ready to come back. And so I definitely think at that time, I was on the edge of just kind of having a breakdown.
Right.
So I needed to take a little bit of space. And I went through therapies, and, I did a partial inpatient rehab, and I got the help that I needed. But I learned a lot of valuable information from that. And I think people are so afraid, the stigma of rehab and
Absolutely.
the stigma
So
of
okay, so if someone's listening that's afraid to do rehab, who can't go to Orangetheory Fitness, who tries to deal with it on their own,
Yep.
what would you suggest to them if they're trying to figure out a way to deal with it on their own, and they're like, yo, I'm not ready for rehab, I'm not doing that, I can figure this out? Is there any advice you can give them?
Absolutely. The number one thing I would tell anyone who feels like they're suffering from any sort of, mental illness, or depression's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to explain to someone when you're depressed,
Okay.
because we use that term so loosely.
Right.
I'm so depressed today.
Absolutely.
And talk to someone. Tell someone. I was lucky. I have a couple of very close friends who work in social work field, and my parents were amazing for me. But tell someone how you're feeling, talk it out, go for a walk. Every doctor has recommended to me the best thing you can do if you're feeling completely down, get up and move around. Don't isolate yourself.
Right.
100%. Just when you feel like isolating, surround yourself with people. It will help.
Do you ever have those moments still, like where you got to get up and just go for a walk?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I had a moment a couple weeks ago where I just felt like crying all day. But I could recognize that I was having a depressive order than overall depression.
Okay.
So my highs are way better than my lows, but they still, sneak up on me.
And
It's usually.
And you saying you could recognize it, is that something you develop, or you already know that?
I developed that.
You developed that. Okay.
Yep. I can identify when I'm having like a bad day, or when, I'm feeling like super out of control, just hyper spastic, and, I'm like, oh, I'm being super manic right now.
Okay.
I get that. And it's taken a lot of time, but you learn how to deal with it, and that's all you can do. I mean, we're given what we're given, so it's how you handle it that makes the difference.
That's like, to me, that's like simply amazing that you can get to a point where you recognize it, and you can kind of call yourself out and figure out, how do I figure this out in this moment?
100%.
Yeah, that's actually, I'm sure there's tons of people who are at a point where they can't recognize it yet, where it's just happening.
Yeah.
And it's spiraling and going out of control. So yeah, I think that's actually amazing that you can do that.
Thank you.
So
it took me a long time.
Okay, so Orangetheory Fitness is part of I'm not gonna say solution, or should I say solution? But it's part of what helps you.
My solution, yeah.
Yeah, it's part of your solution that helps you on a daily. Now, do you think people should take medication?
So I used to be that's definitely a sensitive subject, which I'm sure we'll get some feedback on.
Okay.
But I used to be really under the impression of I never wanted to take meds.
Okay.
And I, it was just scared. And with a combination of, for me, and everyone's different, I think that's the biggest disclaimer is everyone's different.
Okay.
But for me, like medication and therapy and exercise, like I stay pretty 98%.
Okay.
So that works great for me. And honestly, something that I learned in therapy that's amazing is writing.
Wow.
So I started blogging.
I remember. I
Started
see.
working on my blog,
Uh-huh.
and something they taught me, which I think about every day, is when you write an emotion down on paper, it takes the power out of it.
Wow.
You are making it from a feeling into something tangible that you can touch, that you can see, and it can no longer control your energy.
Wow.
It's just a word on paper. Is that interesting?
It's extremely interesting. I've
Yeah.
never heard that either.
That's
but it
my
makes so
favorite
much
thing I
sense.
learned in therapy.
Wow.
So writing for me really helped me get through that breakup. You know, it helped me kind of like just put my words out there. And I didn't care if anyone read it.
Right.
It was for me. But ironically enough, it kind of changed into me becoming what I hope to be, a voice for anyone that's not comfortable talking about it yet.
Wow. Right.
So
And that was before I switched gears. I was gonna say, is there anything that you would want to say to someone who's watching? Most of the people watching this will be Orange Theory Fitness members, coaches, whatever, studio managers, owners, whatever. Is there any advice that you want to get, that you would like to give to anyone that's just listening that may suffer from mental health? I mean, whatever. Is there anything you want to say?
Ironically enough, I've had a lot of people that I've met through this family reach out to me from their own personal struggles. And the number one thing I can say for those that struggle with it is hang in there.
Okay.
There's ways for it to get better.
It gets better.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard as hell.
Right.
And there's definitely days that I feel sorry for myself. Like, why do I have to deal with this?
Okay.
But it is, and it will get better. It might take you a while, but there's things you can do.
That's
so
one of
just
my quotes too.
hang in there.
That's one of my quotes. Not to cut you off.
That
it gets better, and no matter what happens, it's never, for me, like in life general, it's never not gotten better. Like, we go through so many tough times.
Yeah. And depression itself, I mean, it's pretty rock bottom.
Right.
So it can only get better. And I
That's a
think
great
for
way to
anyone
put it,
who
too.
doesn't deal with it themselves, remember to be kind and compassionate to others, because you never know what someone is dealing with.
Absolutely. That's so important.
That would
because
be
you
my best
just
advice.
Don't know. You just don't know.
You don't know.
Because like you said, you can smile. People can smile and be the happiest person on the outside, and you just don't know what's going on the inside.
Exactly.
So that's really touchy. Like, I kind of, like, I'm over here, like, I'm crying in the inside, but not really crying, but it's really touchy. It's like, wow. Okay, so I'm going to switch gears for a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch gears, and I want to talk, I want to go back to Detroit a little bit again.
Yeah, for sure. We can talk about Detroit all day.
All right, so I want to go back to Detroit. So I'm gonna be honest. So me, growing up, I was born and raised in Detroit. You know, I lived other places, but born and raised in Detroit. And I remember when downtown Detroit was completely opposite of what it is now.
Yeah.
And I've seen the growth of downtown Detroit from the kick to really kick off downtown Detroit. We had a Super Bowl here in 2005, and you bring a Super Bowl to your city, that's a big deal. So all of a sudden, things started to change, and ever since then, which 2005 is so long ago, but I've constantly seen it grow, and to now see this company, Orangetheory, who's growing like wildfire.
Yep.
For Scott to bring it to the heart of Detroit, to me, is such a huge deal.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a huge deal. I know me and you talked about it when you first mentioned that Detroit was opening to me. And the minute you said it to me, I like lit up like, yo, that's going to be insane. Are you really ready for what's coming?
I'm excited. I'm super excited. Again, this is my favorite part of this journey so far. And I'm such a nerd. Like, every single time I walk in the studio space and there's a new piece of drywall up, I'm like, oh, all right, cool. Like,
right, the wall's up.
Stuff is taking place. Like, I can see where this is going to be. And it's really a very cool sense of pride when you do something from the ground up. And this is the first one for me.
I was going to say, so basically this is your baby.
It's my baby.
This is your baby.
Yep. So, and it's been really fun too, because you get to spend a lot of one-on-one time working with Scott, with Jamie, with Ashley, with Laura, our marketing coordinator, and really kind of, you get some more face time with them.
Okay.
And working beside them on a project where you guys are working kind of as a team,
right.
It's a different experience.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I guess because you get to, yeah, I know you get to really see who they are and see how things go with them. That's pretty
Exactly.
dope. Do you get to pick your own staff?
So we have a team that Esty and I have been interviewing.
Okay.
So we have 4 people so far.
Yeah.
So it's been really fun. So yeah, pretty much.
Nice. So okay, so so Esty is over there. I see Esty at Commerce so much.
So she's a recruiting specialist.
Okay.
So she's found some really great talent and she's worked super hard to make
Right.
sure that, her and I talk every day. So
Okay.
she knows my personality, she knows what's gonna fit with me
Right.
and what won't. And I'm really excited about the team that we've picked out. Yeah. I think everyone's gonna be
Are you stealing any
happy.
of our coaches?
That what?
Or are you stealing any of our coaches, or will it be all new?
I
or
don't
you
think
can't-
so.
Oh,
Don't quote me. You gotta talk to Lucy about that one.
That's all right. That's all right. Whoever's in Detroit, shout out to you if you watch this podcast. Even though you don't work there yet, shout out to you in the future. Real quick, another question about Detroit. What do you feel like, as far as demographic wise? I know we're right by Wayne State.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's gonna be college kids? Do you feel like it's gonna be the working person who's the person who's taking a lunch at 12 o'clock and they're coming in to work out for 45 minutes? Or are you just like, whatever?
I honestly, it's a huge unknown.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be everybody.
Okay.
I think we're going to see a lot of people that work in Detroit, but my surprise is that a lot of them who live in Detroit are
Right.
interested.
Mhm.
We have students, we have, the hospitals, we have, all those large corporations. And I think it sounds cliche, but Orangetheory is for everyone.
Mhm.
And I really think everyone from Detroit will do it. It'll spread like wildfire. Spread the orange love.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. Do you have a date?
So we're looking at January 2020.
January 2020.
And
Okay.
I will totally shout out our pre-launch kickoff party
Mhm.
is this coming Thursday, November 7th from 4 to 8.
Okay.
So if you guys haven't checked it out yet, go online. You can RSVP. Everyone who does and attends the party will totally get a free gift with them that day.
Nice.
And it's the one day you can get the lowest rates available.
You hear that, guys? That means I got to get this podcast out before that day, or
No pressure.
So yeah, no pressure. The lowest rates possible. It's a huge deal. What's the closest studio to
Detroit?
Would it be
Royal Oak is pretty close,
Royal
Grosse
Oak.
Pointe, and
Okay.
then if you're going the other direction, Dearborn.
Okay.
But yeah, so there's nothing
Really?
really for
Really?
anyone downtown, and a lot of people are excited. I'm excited.
Heck yeah. All right, cool. This is where I'm going to ask you to ask me random questions,
All right.
and I will answer them to the best of my ability.
All right.
All right, but whatever, you can talk about whatever. I don't care.
Okay.
So,
So,
all right.
I put some thought into this.
Oh, did you? Huh.
So my first question is, if you were not on the career path that you are in, what would you do?
I would 100% motivational speak.
I love
I
that.
would speak to people to let them know at the end of the day, no matter what we go through, no matter what happens, everything will be fine.
Everything
You
will
know
be fine.
why everything will be fine? Because it's undefeated. The
Yeah, I
sun
like
goes
that.
down, the moon comes up, sun comes back up.
All
It's
right. All right.
undefeated.
So my next question, since
And you didn't even have to write these down. I would have had to look
they're
at
up
something.
in the top of my
All right,
mind.
so next question.
So give me an example of when you have done something kind and compassionate for someone else without expecting anything in return.
I would say I did this program with my man Brandon Smith at Cass Tech High School, where basically it was a recording program and we had about 65 students, and the very first year, Adidas ended up sponsoring the program, but the very first year, we didn't know if we were going to get paid.
Yeah.
And it was really time consuming. You had to be there literally every day after school except Friday. I had just started Orangetheory, and my schedule started to pick up and things. And I was like, well, even if we don't get paid, I'm there. I'm going to do it. And I did it the whole entire year and magically ended up getting paid, but didn't think I was going to get paid at all. But didn't ever slack at it one time. I would leave there and still come here in my studio and create things for there every single day. And I didn't know I was going to get paid, but I ended up getting paid, but it would have been for free anyway. So
yeah. And that's like great. And I feel like kind of this whole day has just been about like kindness and positivity and motivation. And I guess what is the number one thing that motivates you? I think I already know the answer, but go ahead.
So you might not know the answer, but the number one thing that motivates me is seeing that I impacted someone else.
I love that.
Seeing that a lady in Ann Arbor spoke to me yesterday. She kind of pulled me to the side, and not to get too personal, but she was an African American lady, and she messaged me before, and she was like, "I work at a alternative school, and there are Black kids who don't get a lot of opportunities, and I would love for you to speak to them because it's good for them to see someone who looks like them doing things that they would want to do." So it really felt good just because that's my whole goal. When people say, "Yo, DJ Truth, you crazy for working all day, then getting 3 hours of sleep, then getting back up and doing it again," and it's not about money is at the bottom of the list. It's that someone notices that and it affects someone in some kind of way, whether it's someone who be like, "Yo, I'm gonna get my ass up because I know he up," or if it's someone who's like, "Yo, I want to be a DJ," or no matter what it is, in some kind of way I can affect somebody, I'm down for it. So that is why I go so hard.
I love that. Motivation is definitely contagious. And
absolutely.
You have an energy about you that makes people excited.
Thank you.
They want to come in, they look for your classes that you're going to be at.
Thank you.
It's just, you're a good person. And you can tell that by talking to you. You're very down to earth. And I think just what you're trying to do is amazing. It's impressive.
I appreciate that, Cooper.
No problem.
That was it? That was your three?
I was going to say, yeah, those are my three.
I love it. Well, guess what, guys? This is the end of our podcast. My second guest, the fabulous, amazing Miss Brittany. Wait, I got a question.
Yeah.
What would be your title? Because I'm going to put it in the description. Should I be like, "Yo, DJ Truth, More Life Podcast, spoke with Brittany Cooper, studio manager of Detroit." Studio manager?
Yep.
Okay. Can you go through all of your titles real quick that you've had?
All of my titles?
Yeah, let me hear each one.
Okay,
even self-proclaimed titles. You can, yeah. Because I self-proclaim myself Orangetheory Fitness DJ or whatever, like official DJ. Yep. And now they say it. So
sales associate, assistant manager, marketing coordinator, brand ambassador, and then I go by a lot of different names at Orangetheory too.
Let me hear
we got
some.
Brittany, Cooper, Britt, BC, Coop, a lot of them. Kind of depends when anyone's in the mood that day.
Right.
So,
all right,
for
I'll
sure.
call you Coop every time.
Coop.
So. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the second episode. This is DJ Truth, again with my lovely friend, Brittany Cooper. And this has been the More Life Podcast. Peace.